Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Ajay Aserkar from DS Homeopathic Medical College, working as an assistant professor since last 33 years. Will benefit two types of people who are listening to this lecture now. One is the students of second BHMS, third BHMS, or the final BHMS classes who have to answer their questions if they are asked in their theory or Viva examinations. And the second class of people are those who are doing their internship or have finished their internship or are about to start their practice. Those people who have already been practicing since last 5 years, 10 years or more, these people have already set up their method of recording the symptoms. They know the importance of recording the symptoms, and they are doing it according to their own ways and methods. So this lecture will probably benefit all those people, all the students of the second, third and final BHMS, that is the one type of people, and others are the people who are about to start their practice or have just started their practice. So with that preamble, I think we should start with our presentation. So Dr. Kent, I think, was a very great visionary who thought of all these things way ahead of his times. Whatever he has said in his lecture, now it's if you go through Kent's lectures, you will find that this chapter is not more than 2 or 2.5 pages. Now, even if it is a very small lecture, still the thoughts that Dr. Kent has put in this chapter are really applicable at all times, even today and in the future. Now, with this, we start the further lectures. I prepared this PPT presentation for your benefit. So, why should we keep the importance of record keeping? Why should we keep the medical history or medical records of our patients? There are various reasons that Dr. Kent has put forth in his chapter. Now, the first point is to know the totality of symptoms, obviously, because we want to treat the patient and later cure the patient. The first aphorism says that the high and only mission of the physician is to cure the patient. And in tandem with that, we should know the totality of the symptoms, and to know the totality of symptoms, we have to keep the records. The second point is that for future reference. The third is to decide the further course of action. The fourth is to decide the auxiliary line of treatment, that is the treatment that is given along with the medicines, the diet regimen and so on. The fifth point says that for reference for other physicians, now this is something that Dr. Kent has stressed a little more in his chapter. And the sixth point and the last point is that it is legally compulsory for every physician to keep all his records of his patients for any legal purposes. Now we will go through each and every point. Now, before I go ahead, I would like to remind you that I have said that there are two types of people who will be benefited by this lecture. The first are the second, third and fourth BHMS students who want to know what is it that they are supposed to write in the papers. That is what they want to know. And the second are those who are going to start their practice or have just started their practice. They want to know the practical application. Is it really necessary to keep the records? What are the problems if they will face or they might face if they do not keep the records? And what are the benefits they will get if they keep the records? So I will go through each and every point first for the first type of people, that is the students, that is the second, third, and fourth BHMS people. What is it? They're supposed to write in the papers and answer the questions if they're asked in the Viva examination regarding this topic. So let us start. Let us go in the details of the first point, that is to know the first importance. The first point is to know the totality of symptoms. Totality of symptoms is the collection of all the characteristic symptoms. Human beings are or have a fallacy, that is their memory is fallible, that is their memory is extremely weak. Now, when we say that their memory is extremely weak, it is possible that when we are taking the case of the patient, the patient may not remember each and everything at the same time. And we as homeopaths ask so many questions to the patient, which the patient might feel are not related to their problems. And that is why the things that are not necessary are automatically deleted from their, from their memory. And that is why they do not remember things. And that is why we have to keep the records first. Whatever the patient tells us during the first time, you have to record them. You have to put them on paper or in the software, whatever it is. Keep a record. And whenever the patient comes for the subsequent visits, we can go on adding to the totality. And in this way, we can find out the correct medicine for this patient. Okay. Then symptoms can be added to form a new totality. The second point is that is for future reference, that it gives an exact idea on each subsequent visit of the patient, which of the symptoms are improving and which are worsening. To know this, we have to know what was the patient suffering from, what are his signs and symptoms. And from this, we can come to know whether our medicine is working correctly or not, and what is happening exactly with the patient. So to know this, we have to keep those records in a very correct manner. Then the third point says to decide the further course of action. That is, when the patient comes to us for the second time, first time he has come to us with the signs and symptoms, we have given the medicine to the patient, and then the patient comes to us after taking the medicine, say after a week or so, for the second time. At that time, the patient tells us something. That is, he is aggravated, he is ameliorated, or whatever it is. That is his remedy reaction. That is the reaction to the remedy what we have given. Now, according to that, we have to decide the further course of action. What is this further course of action? That is the second prescription. Now, example, in the example, if the patient has, that is his presenting symptoms are aggravated and has a sense of well-being, in that case, the patient is having or is in a homeopathic aggravation. Now, if we go into the details of the remedy reaction, we will come to know that the second prescription for homeopathic aggravation is placebo. That is because the rule says never repeat a medicine when the previous dose is acting beneficially. In homeopathic aggravation, the previous dose is acting beneficially, and that is why we have to give a placebo. But before we decide on the placebo, and even before we decide that the patient is having or patient is in a homeopathic aggravation, we have to know where he is presenting symptoms. And to know where he is presenting symptoms, we have to have the records of the symptoms of the patient, without which we cannot decide what is the remedy reaction that the patient is suffering. And then we cannot decide the second prescription. That is why the record is necessary. Keeping a record is necessary. The fourth point says that to decide the auxiliary line of treatment, that is to find out if any maintaining cause is working in the background. There are 4 types of maintaining causes that Dr. Hahnemann has described in aphorism 74 and 77. They are occupational, environmental, dietary, or medicinal history. That can be found out from the records. We always ask the patient about his occupation, where he is working, what is his diet, how does he eat, and whether he is taking any medicines or not. So these decide whether the patient is having a maintaining cause in the background, and accordingly the auxiliary line of treatment can be decided and proper advice can be given to maintain the healthy condition of the patient, which is given in aphorism 4, the preserver of health. So to decide the auxiliary line of treatment. Then the 5th point says that for reference for other physicians, if your patient shifts to some other place, a place that is far away from your city, then if he finds out a homeopathic physician in his new place, you will have to give all the records to the new physician, so that we should be generous enough to share all these details of the patient with the new physician, because ultimately what matters, or what is our mission, is the cure of the patient. And that is why all these records have to be very clear in your with you, and if the need be, you should be able to share those details, the records, with the other physicians for the cure of the patient. And the last is, according to government rules, it is compulsory, it is mandatory to maintain proper record and the treatment given to each patient. This becomes more important, especially in case of medical legal cases. Now we have seen what is important for the students of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th BHMS classes who want to know whether what is to be written in their papers. We have seen this. Now we go back again to the first point, and I will try to elaborate upon the practical application of each and every point that Dr. Kent has described in this chapter. If we go to the first point, that is to know the totality of symptoms. So this whatever I'm going to tell you is the practical application of each and every point. This is for those who are about to set up their practice, who are thinking of setting up their practice, or who have just started their practice. Now, if you go into the practical application, you will find that totality of symptoms also includes the causative factor. When we take the case of the patient, the first point is ODP. Now, the ODP means onset, duration, and progress. In the onset, it is not just when the complaint started, but also we have to know how the complaint started. Many of the times, the patient himself doesn't remember how the complaint started. That is because we believe, now especially in case of psychosomatic disorders, where the causative factors lies at the mental level and the symptoms are seen at the physical level. Patients do not understand this, that a suppressed emotion can give rise to various symptoms, like maybe skin symptoms, maybe pain in the joints, maybe breathlessness, or any other at the physical level. And that is why to find out the causative factor, it needs a lot of perseverance, lot of careful investigation. And the other point is this, that these are the areas where you have to tread very carefully. These are the secrets that the patient is not ready to share with anybody. And to know this, we have to ask the questions very carefully. And when you get this, when you get the information, like, for example, a patient who is suffering from skin eruptions and has a history of uh, uh, any mental suppression in the past, we can come to know about it. When you ask about it, you put it on record, and then you're able to find out the correct medicine. There can be many examples that I can cite over here, but if the time permits, I will give you certain examples at the end. Okay, so that is a practical application, that is knowing the causative factor. Now the second point here says that for future reference. Now, just like patients may not be able to remember things, physicians also cannot remember things, because we are all human beings. We are all having that weakness that we do not remember things which are not necessary for us. The beginners, especially those who are about to start their practice, who have just started their practice, may feel, because they are young, they might feel that I will remember everything. What is the need of having those records? But that is not possible. My young friends, please take this into consideration. Please take this up very seriously, that remembering everything and anything in your life, it is not possible. It is just not possible. If there is anybody who is listening to this lecture, those who have just set up their practice or is about to set up their practice, just ask a question that what did you have for breakfast 2 weeks ago, maybe on the 7th of April? What did you have for breakfast? You will not remember. It is impossible to remember, because that is the thing that is not necessary for you to remember. And that is why we have the brain, or brain automatically deletes all that data which is not necessary for us. What did you have for breakfast 2 weeks ago? What is the need of knowing it today? And it is automatically deleted. So if that happens with us now, then it will happen with us during our practice also. I would like to quote one example during my practice, that uh, just in the beginning of my practice, as it happens with everybody, there were almost no patients. One patient turned up and I gave some medicine to him, and he went away. He just didn't come for many days. I took for granted that uh, he might have got cured or something good might have happened. We always think positive. And over a period of time, I forgot that patient. That patient came after almost 2 years later. And he said that the symptoms are, he thinks that the symptoms are returning. He was suffering from breathlessness, with the symptoms starting with sneezing and coryza, and then developing towards breathlessness. And then again, after 2 years, the sneezing has started and a little coryza had started. He was so scared that he came to me and said that for the last 2 years, I did not have any episode of breathlessness. So I didn't come to you. But today, just about 2 days ago, the sneezing has started and there is coryza. So I'm scared that probably it might uh, give rise to some breathlessness. So give me some medicine, whatever you have given. You have given a good medicine at that time. So give me a medicine. Now 2 years had passed, and I did not remember the medicine, the name of the medicine. Did I have any record, because that was the first patient. That was my first patient in my whole life. And that is how I had to take the case again once more. And then I could find out the medicine, and then I put it all on record. And then the patient was later cured. This should not happen with anybody. So that is the practical application of this second point, that on each subsequent visit, we have to find out what is happening. Now we go to the third point, that is to decide the further course of action. That is the second prescription. Now, what happens is, in homeopathic aggravation, that is also, we have already seen. Similarly, in case of medicinal aggravation where new symptoms appear, that is a very bad reaction. In that, new symptoms which the patient never suffered in his past start appearing. You ask the patient whether he had suffered any time in the past with these symptoms, and he says no. But to know whether these are the new symptoms, we have to know what were his original symptoms, what were his symptoms that he had come for. And then we will be able to compare the previous symptoms, original symptoms, and then these new symptoms, and then come to the conclusion that these are new symptoms, and this is a bad reaction. That is, the patient is going into medicinal aggravation. So to know this, the record of the original symptoms is an absolute must, without which we will not be able to know the action of the medicine, that is the remedy reaction, and you will not be able to find out the further course of action. Okay. Regarding the fourth point, to decide the auxiliary line of treatment, now I don't have to stress much upon the occupation, environment, and diet of the patient. But in case of medicinal history, there are certain interesting cases that had happened in my practice. I would like to quote one such case within shortly, that there was a lady who was suffering from, or who was diagnosed to be suffering from IBS, that is irritable bowel syndrome. She was also a diabetic. She had come to me for treatment of this diarrhea, which is one of the symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome. According to the symptoms, I gave her argentum nitricum, and the symptoms were relieved. But the symptoms were only relieved. They were not cured. The lady was not cured. So I tried everything. That is the change in potency, intercurrent medicine, and whatever was possible for me to do, I did. But every time there was only a temporary relief, and after that the symptoms returned after a few days. When I was going through the history of this lady, I found out that she is taking some medicine for her diabetes. And I asked her in her next visit, I asked her whether she is following up the matter with the diabetologist. She said no. She has been taking that medicine since the last 15 years. And she is checking her blood pressure every now and then. And the blood sugar level turns out to be normal. And she was happy about it. So I said, just as a second opinion, please go to a diabetologist. She went, and the diabetologist called me back and said that the medicine that she is taking is now being withdrawn from the market for the reason that this is having a side effect which only recently it was discovered, that over a period of time, if the patient uses that drug for a long period of time, these people start suffering from diarrhea. But this came to light only after almost 10 to 12 years of use of that medicine, and that medicine is being withdrawn from the market. As a homeopathic physician, we have to keep an eye out for such events. Although we will not practice the allopathic medicine system of medicine, still we have to know the adverse drug reaction and the contraindications for the use of the allopathic drugs, the side effects of these drugs for our interest. So studying anything is not a bar. So when we put this on record, that what medicines the patient is taking, we come to know what might be the reactions or the side effects of these medicines, which is causing these symptoms. And these side effects serve as a maintaining cause, which if we put it on record, if we have written it down, then we can have a second opinion about it, or we can study about it and treat the patient accordingly. Now, the fifth point is that for reference of for other physicians, nothing much that I can say the practical application, but definitely I would advise we have to be open-minded about it. That is, sharing the details, the case records of any patient with other physician. If the patient demands that the new physician, wherever he has shifted, is a good one, and he wants to know what is the treatment that has been given so far, so that he will carry forward the further treatment. In that case, we should be open enough to share those records with the other physician. Please be assured that your patient who has been taking treatment for you since a long period of time wants to take treatment from some other physician just for his convenience. If at all, he doesn't get relief from that new physician, is going to come back to you. So you don't have to worry about it. Many of the times it happens that how should I let go of my patient? You don't have to worry about it. The patient is always with you. Just you have to show some faith in the other people also. He will always remember you as his physician. So we have to be a little more open-minded. And the last point, that is, it is legally mandatory, it is legally compulsory to maintain the records of the patient. Why is it not maintaining the records or distorting the records? Both are criminal offenses. New practitioners and those who are thinking of starting their own practice, please remember this, that not maintaining the records or maintaining the records in a distorted manner, that is changing the facts as they are criminal offenses and are taken up as acts of commission. You just cannot say that I didn't know about this. You have to know about this. मराठीमध्ये एक म्हणतात की खून केला की फाशी होते, मला माहित नव्हतं म्हणून मी खून केला. This is wrong. This is wrong. I didn't know. You don't know. A person not knowing about this is itself criminal. Here I would like to quote one little case, very, very short case, that how I was saved from the legal tangles just because I kept the records very clean and clear. Once upon a time, when I was about to open my clinic, a man who was not my patient, was just staying a little away from my clinic. He came and he said that something wrong has happened at his place. So I went to his place and found that a girl of about 13 or 14 years of age was lying on the bed. I examined her and she was dead. And he told me that she had committed suicide. So I called the police. The police came, made all the investigations, whatever they wanted to do. And in that, at that time, the police officer told me that you have to write down whatever happened right from the person calling you at so and so time with all the timeline. So till the time you are writing this. So whatever happened, you have to write it down and give it to me. I said, fine. So I wrote it down, 2 pages of that report, and handed it over to the police officer, took acknowledgement copy from him, his signature, his stamp on it, and took a Xerox copy of it with me, got the Xerox copy, kept the Xerox copy with me, submitted it to him, the original copy. And then, as it happens, as I told you, that it happens that we tend to forget things. Over a period of time, I just forgot about it. I kept those papers in a secure place. After about 2 years, a call came to me from the police station, and they just casually asked me, what happened on that day? I mean, I was really clueless at that time that about what day they are talking. And then when they told me the name of that person, still I was clueless because he was not my patient. There was no record of that patient with me. Still I was clueless. And then after about 10 minutes of recollection, then I could recollect. Then I produced that write-up to that officer. And then he was like satisfied with whatever I have done. And then thereafter, I was not made to go to the court of law, no submission, nothing. But the record has to be very clear with you, maybe in hard copy or maybe in the soft copy, whatever it is, whatever you choose. So such is the importance, the practical importance of the record keeping, which I hope has helped both, that is the students and beginners of practice alike. And I think I have made my points very clear. Dr. Hahnemann says in the 83rd aphorism that one has to have fidelity in tracing the picture of the disease. That is, we have to be truthful to whatever we are writing, whatever records we are creating, whatever we are writing about the patient. It has to be truthful. You cannot, you should not distort, or you should not omit anything from the records, because these records are going to help you in the treatment and ultimately achieve our mission of curing the patient as given in the first aphorism. So I hope I have made the point very clear. Almost I'm coming to the end. I have been teaching for the last 33 years, but still I do not believe in my memory. And that's why to deliver this lecture, I have formed a record, and that is this PowerPoint presentation, so that I also remember everything, and whatever I tell others, it remains, or I do not miss anything. That is how the records are important. And the last point is that Dr. Kent has said that without the records, it is like being at the sea without compass and rudder. That is, we are totally clueless, we are totally disoriented in the middle of the sea without a rudder and without the compass. This clearly explains the importance of record keeping. Thank you very much.